Now we get a copy of this?
Always, yeah.
Okay. Just
You'll
want to
get
make
within
sure.
a few weeks. And if
Huh?
you don't, just give me a call. You'll get in a few weeks.
Yeah, but my calls always go to your voicemail, and then you say, "Oh, I thought you were spam."
You sounded like an AI, so.
Yeah, okay. Let me know how that is.
Are you
Now
rolling
you
with
just
what-
really got on my bad side. Do I sound like spam?
So my question would be directed to
No, yes.
Mr. Bud Roberts.
Mr. Doug Roberts.
And
Yeah.
speak up if you can, because you don't
Okay.
have a mic. All right, David, anytime.
All right. So today is April 26, 2024. My name is David Pyle, and I'm interviewing Howell Bud Roberts at the Rocky Mountain Regional VA Medical Center in Aurora, Colorado, as part of the VA's Remembering Our Veterans program. So, Howell Bud Roberts, welcome. Thank
Good
you.
to see you, David.
You too. I'm glad you could make it, and we can do this. So,
Yes.
so Howell, if you want to start off, tell us about your early childhood, your formative years, and like where were you born and where you grew up, and
Well, actually, I was born in Laramie, Wyoming, and about 3 months after that, we moved to Denver, and I've been in Denver pretty much the whole time, except at a time when my parents divorced, and I temporarily lived with my guardians down in Florida. Okay, my great aunt and great uncle, who were both very nice people, Christians, and unfortunately they passed away. Okay, and then I came back to live with my father and his new wife, and then they started to have some issues, and I went into the military. Right as soon as I graduated, 5 days later, I went down to the MEPS and started processing.
sounded like you were ready to get out of there.
I was ready to get out of the situation.
How long were you in Florida?
I was in Florida probably for about 4 or 5 years. Yeah. The thing is that we were down in Panama City, Florida. Okay, and then we moved up to Marianna, Florida, which most of my relatives were born and raised around Marianna, Florida. So, and then after that, I came back when I was about the age of 12. And as I said, I came up to Colorado Springs initially to spend some time with my grandmother and help her run some of her businesses. And then my dad came up from Arizona with his new wife, and that's when I moved in with him. And again, they were having some issues, so
Sure.
that's when I went immediately into the military, because as everybody knows, back then, it was during the Vietnam War, okay? And you either joined or you were drafted. So I said, Navy, here I come.
Yeah, right, exactly. So,
Right.
So you were 18 or so, 17, 18?
Oh, I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Yeah, matter of fact, I joined the program called the CASH program, okay, which gives you extra incentive because it works toward your constructive time in the military. So you get earlier retirement. Yep.
Okay. So how long were you? Okay. So what about, so what motivated you to join the military? I guess we covered that. Oh,
Real quickly.
a wonderful family life, whatever. So, so why did you choose the Navy?
Because the fact is, I didn't want to dig foxholes. And also, too, as I went to boot camp up at Great Lakes, and I looked out the window one time because the Marines were right next to us, and they all were laying in sandboxes throwing sand on themselves saying, we want to kill. And I said, thank you, Lord, for letting me join the Navy.
So what'd you do in the Navy? What were you?
I was in the aviation part,
Okay.
and also, too, I got a chance to fly a little bit, and also, too, that traveled all over the world. And then I got picked up for a special program under NESEP, which is the Naval Enlisted Scientific Educational Program. And they sent me to University of Oklahoma for 3 years, okay, where, I almost completed, and then I left there and then went back into the regular Navy and was stationed on the Saratoga. And I got transported up to Philadelphia during the refit of the Saratoga and the Forrestal. So it was a lot of fun.
So how many years were you in total?
Total, I was in for 12 years.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good long time there for
Yes,
sure.
and I enjoyed it. Except my last year, they sent me to the recruiting command over in Philadelphia, and that was not pretty. So, in my personal opinion, so that's when I decided to leave the military, and then I got into some business ventures, which worked out quite well for me. Okay.
Sure. No, that's great. That's like so you say that you traveled the world with the
Oh,
Navy.
I traveled.
Then?
Yeah, all over the world.
Were you
flew-
mostly on a carrier there? Or?
Well, the fact is that we traveled, when I was on the carrier, we pretty much traveled the Mediterranean.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was in the P3 squadron, okay, we traveled all over the world except Russia. So I got to see a lot of pretty places.
Yeah, no, that was
A lot of pretty
a
places.
real education in itself. I'm
Real
sure.
education,
That's
because
like,
we had to fly all over the world chasing submarines.
chasing submarines. Well,
That's,
that was your primarily focus
that's what
on.
we did
Yeah.
in the P3 squadrons.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it.
So how is life on a carrier?
It's quite unique. I ran the AIMD division, which was the aircraft intermediate maintenance department. And then from there, I also too did damage control. So I knew every compartment on that ship, backwards and forwards. So then when they temporarily decommissioned the Saratoga to take it up to Philadelphia for refit, okay, I stayed aboard and I helped them refit the aircraft carrier, okay? So it was quite an experience because I got to meet a lot of people, found out that there's over 2,000 compartments on that ship, and I knew every one of them, every square inch of that Saratoga and the Forrestal, because they were sister ships.
Yeah, I remember that. They had pretty illustrious history too.
Yes,
both
they
of
did.
them. They did.
Thank you.
Like,
Yeah, they were originally stationed out of Mayport, Florida. That was their home base. And I could tell you, later on, there were some stories about that too.
yeah. So they're decommissioned now, I'm sure. at this
Oh,
point.
both of them are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the Saratoga in '96, got permanently decommissioned, and it got sold off to a company, a scrapping company. And I guess about 2 or 3 years ago, they started scrapping her. Okay. After they got special permission to do it from the government or something. The
Sure.
government. Okay. So that was it. And, but I'm part of the Saratoga Association. So they stay in touch with me every month. And I plan on going down to Jacksonville maybe in October for one of the reunions.
Really?
They have a reunion every year.
You've been to those before, have you?
No, I have not.
Well, that
This will
should
be
be
my
quite
first time.
interesting going down there. And,
Oh, well, I'm going to be going right through Marianna, Florida, so I'm going to see my relatives, okay? And
got the whole thing planned out. there.
have a little talk with my sister
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah, that's great. So what's your most vivid memory, fond memory, whatever, of your service, time in service? I'm sure you got a lot of them.
Oh, I have tons of them. But I have to say probably the fondest memory was we used to fly out of Azores, which are owned by Portugal. And we're talking, between 73 and 76. And the Azores were a lot of fun. We used to go out in town. There was George the Crooks, and you could buy a bottle of wine for $1 and you could get, and, there was plenty of companionship. So it was a lot of fun. And also, too, they had the Air Force Base there. So you could go to the Oak Club, and also, too, you could go, and they had plenty of Air Force women that would love to take you dancing and stuff at the clubs.
Yeah.
And it was interesting.
So were you commissioned at this time? Or?
I was, and then, I got set back, as I said. So I actually left the service as an E6.
Okay.
Okay. So.
Yeah. No, you had quite the interesting career there with that
Oh,
whole thing. for
let me
sure.
tell you something. I love the military. I love the vets. And I do everything now vets oriented.
Yeah.
Even if you look at my Facebook page, it says vets forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Good on you. What about any particularly humorous or unusual events? Besides your raucous time in the Azores there? Raucous and rowdy and debauched? Oh, is that too personal? I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. But the fact is that I can tell you right now, we flew down to the Panama Canal Zone. Okay. And there, when you're down in the Panama Canal Zone, beers are cheap. They were only like 10 cents a bottle. And, you know, as you're driving around in the cabs or riding around in the cabs, girls are trying to grab you and pull you out, you know, and take you wherever they want to take you. But I went into this particular club, okay, and I was a young, you know, officer at the time. And there was this very lovely lady, okay, and she was on stage. And I said, hey, I want you, okay. And so she says, right after the bar closes, okay? So I waited for her. And then all of a sudden, I noticed she went in back, all right? So the thing is that all of a sudden, the door opens up and this elderly woman comes out. And she says, well, I'm ready for you. And I said, no, I'm waiting for a young lady back there. And she says, I am that young lady. She'd taken off her makeup. She'd taken off her wig. She'd taken her teeth out. And I said, well, got an early flight in the morning. See you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Bye.
You know, so that was it.
Yeah.
And that was so funny.
Yeah, it is a funny story. So what do you think was the best part of your service experience there?
The best part was the people.
Uh,
Pretty much everybody I met was first class. And, you know, I always tried to stay in touch with them. Matter of fact, I'm still in touch with some of them. I knew some guys from Detroit, Terry, and then there's Bruce Perry and Phil Kersniak and just a bunch of them. And even though that was a long time ago, we would still stay in touch. And it's wonderful because the military community is a community on its own, okay? Everywhere I go, when I'm going into restaurants or wherever, you know, and I see somebody that I know is military, especially if they're wearing the hat,
yeah.
you walk up to them and say, thanks for your service, and they turn around, shake your hand, and say, thank you for your service. I was walking in Walmart yesterday, and these three little kids, it shows you how much people are trying to honor the military now. These three little kids come running up and say, sir, thank you for your service.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. And it also, too, it shows that the military stays together, okay, to protect this country, okay, and so that we can have the freedoms that we have. So I think it's just wonderful, you know. And as I said, I wake up every morning thinking veteran, go to sleep every night thinking veteran, and how I can, and those hours in between, how can I do and help veterans? And that's why, you know, I'm taking 2 college courses right now.
So let's talk about that. Yeah, I want to hear about that.
Well, the one thing is that the VA right now is sending me to Community College of Denver to get a degree in social studies, social work, so that I can be a peer assistant for veterans, okay? And also, too, is that through SNHU, I am taking a course in criminal justice advocacy, so that when vets come out of prison, I can help them get acclimated and then help them stay out of prison, okay? Because a lot of the veterans that do go to prison and stuff like that, they've had some issues. They may not know how to deal with them, and I want to be there to help them deal with these issues, stay out, okay? because pretty much I've had to run that gamut. Okay, so I know, excuse me, everything that it takes to get out and stay out. So
That's great. It's a
you.
wonderful thing. I think that I could really see you doing that. I think that you'd be a good advocate, and I think facilitating various kind of things, whatever. It's a really important task.
Thank you,
there.
David, for saying that. That means a lot to me. But
Yeah, nice.
that's exactly what I plan on doing.
Yeah. So, were you awarded any medals, citations for your service?
Well, I had several citations, and it's probably in my my DD 214,
Okay.
and I know, but the main one that I'm very proud about is that I am a Vietnam veteran. Okay, and there were several other campaigns that I was involved with. I didn't get a Purple Heart. I didn't get some of the higher up ones. Medal of Honor or anything like that, but I did get a couple of campaign ribbons and the Vietnam.
Yeah. So, were you on a ship offshore there, or how did that work for you?
No, we were flying P-3s.
Okay. Really?
Over
Okay.
off Vietnam.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the fact is that the Russians had submarines off Vietnam, keeping an eye on things. There's people won't believe it, but there's Russian submarines pretty much everywhere. They won't advertise it, but the thing is that they're keeping an eye on us, and we're keeping an eye on them.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
Critical time here, as far as
Right.
all that's going on.
Yeah,
Just
very critical.
Ukraine, Middle East, the whole thing, and just anyway.
Well,
it's a deeply troubling
It's
time.
deeply troubling times, and also too is that predominantly the two best places, and I hope I'm not saying anything classified, is the fact is that the two best places to catch Russian submarines coming in and out is the Straits of Gibraltar, okay, into the Mediterranean, and up around the North Sea, okay, because they have a lot of ports up there,
Well,
a lot of ports. So that's where you see a lot of activity,
yeah.
Navy activity.
Yeah. All right. So moving on here, let's see. So, what about after the war? After your service, after the war, after the service, what occupations did you have?
Well, actually, I started my own business. As I said, I left the recruiting command, and thank God I did. Oof, it was unique, especially in Philadelphia, and also too, they had me temporarily stationed up in Trenton, New Jersey, and Trenton was very special indeed up by itself. But I got into the real estate business, and I got into the insurance business, and did very well.
Yeah.
But then my father, his health started to take a different direction, and I decided to come back to Colorado. I missed the mountains because over there in New Jersey, where I was living at, and also too my practices over there, they had a big toxic waste, okay, and my best friend, very close, Jimmy Beal, one of the finest men ever want to meet, he died of throat cancer at a very young age. He was only about 40, 45, somewhere around there, and that hit me hard because he was a great man, a great friend. However, another friend of mine, Tom Rogers, okay, he and I are still in touch with each other, pretty much on a weekly basis. Matter of fact, it's his birthday today, so after I finish here, I gotta send him a birthday present.
Yeah.
So,
Say hello to him via YouTube.
yeah.
Wish him
But,
happy birthday.
Wonderful man.
Yeah. So, did you ever marry?
Never married, but I'm looking for a wife.
Yeah. Well, gets slimmer and slimmer pickings here as we go along, It's like,
Well,
maybe not. Now the widows are starting to come up anyway.
well, the one thing about it is that I'm glad you brought that up because, I'm 68 going on 69.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends are trying to set me up, with very wonderful women
Yeah.
in my age bracket, Okay, and I'm wanting to go a little bit younger than that. Not too much younger, but a little bit younger.
35, 40, somewhere in there.
Somewhere around there. Okay, you never know.
Good
but-
luck. Good luck with that.
Well, we'll see. You know, if I have to go overseas, I'll go overseas. You know, but
Yeah, I don't know, man.
but the thing about it is that you know, I'm open for options. You know.
So, what about hobbies? Do you have any hobbies or anything?
Yeah, I like to horseback ride. I'm a member of Path International, which is, I've been a member since about 1980, where we use horses for helping handicapped children. Now we've gotten into senior citizens and veterans,
Yeah.
military veterans, to help them with PTSD and
Right,
stuff.
right.
Horses are the best therapy for those three groups. The best therapy. Once you identify with a horse and they get to know you, it's like an unbreakable bond. Okay. And when I was in New Jersey, I had the handicapped high riders, and I had some horses, and working with the young people and working with the horses was just awesome. I think I had like 5 or 6 horses, and I loved them all.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, unfortunately, when I moved back there to Colorado, I had to sell them. Couldn't bring them with me.
Sure.
Yeah,
That'd be
'cause-
difficult.
Well, I was more, you know, I was here to help my dad out. And I couldn't devote myself to the horses and also to devote myself to my father. So I had to make a choice at that point. Plus, I had a girlfriend at that time. And come to find out, as soon as she came to Colorado, she was pregnant with my son. And so I have a 34-year-old son, great young man, doing very well for himself, and I have a 9-year-old granddaughter with him, and she's doing wonderful too.
Gets more and more interesting here.
Yes.
What's going on? What happened with your girlfriend? You decided not to marry and all
Well,
that? Or did you?
with all due respect, you know, and she might be watching, the thing is, because she lives here in Colorado, but my son and my granddaughter, they live in Baltimore, but in my personal opinion, she had a hell of a temper, and I said, So she and I, back in '94, decided to go our separate ways.
Yeah.
Because she's a wonderful lady. She was a wonderful mother to Sean,
Mhm.
but she and I just couldn't be together.
No.
Okay.
Well, I could
Because-
see you'd be pretty difficult. You know?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I can be real horrible to live with. But, you know, she just had a unique way. So she married a guy, and they've been married for 30 years, and I wish them the very best
Sure.
in life. Okay.
That's-
And I think they've had 2 or 3 children from that union and, you know, several grandchildren. So we'll see what happens.
So you still maintain contact with your son then?
Oh, on a weekly basis.
Really?
I stay in touch with my granddaughter on a weekly basis.
That's
She's
great.
Beautiful.
No, that's great.
Matter of fact, can I tell you a funny story?
Sure.
It was her birthday, and on February 2nd. And I said, Sophia, what would you like for your birthday? And she said, Stitch. And I said, well, take your clothes down to the tailor and get them stitched. And she said, no, stitch. And I said, well, we'll get you some new clothes then. You don't got to stitch anything. And so her mother got on the phone. She said, no, but Stitch is a Disney character.
Uh,
And I said, oh my God. And I felt, so I got onto Amazon and I ordered her like $300 worth of Stitch.
oh my God.
Yeah, so it was fun. She sent me videos of her showing off her watches, her jumpsuit, you know, her pillow, and all this stuff that I bought her, you know, that was Stitch and Lilo or something like that. I forget what it was, Stitch and, you know.
Yeah, I'm not.
But I found out what Stitch was.
Sounds like a $300 worth, huh?
Yeah, $300
Stitch.
worth. As long
Yeah.
as my granddaughter was happy, that's all I cared about.
Yeah, that's great. I know nothing about that.
Well, I didn't either
It's
until,
like,
you know, Mindy got on the phone and said, hey, no, Stitch is a Disney character.
Oh.
So then I had to look it up under Google,
no.
and then I had to go to Amazon. Okay, I got to go through all this stuff now.
Yeah,
So,
that's funny.
so here at 68, I'm still learning.
Yeah, God, you don't stop. You know, it doesn't stop.
Well,
It's
no,
like,
it doesn't.
It's like, oh,
You know, I'm pretty happy because the last time I was in college was back in '79, and now that I've started with SNHU and stuff like that, I've been making 100% for the last 16 weeks.
really, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me, as far as going back to school like that, how is that to in most of your classmates? I'm sure. A
Well,
lot
it's all
younger.
online.
Huh?
It's
Oh,
all
it's
online.
all online.
All
Okay.
online. Now, when I go back to college during the summertime for
Yeah.
CCD, it's going to be half online and half down at the campus. So that's going to be unique.
No, no, that's
Matter of fact, I was talking to my VR&E director, wonderful lady, okay? And I said, can I join a fraternity?
frat boy at
Yeah, I
68.
said, well, community colleges may not have fraternity. Well, let's start one. We'll start the military fraternity. Yeah.
Bud, dangerous guy here, man.
Well, that's exactly what she said. She said, you're off the hook. I said, well, we need to start something new.
All right, so moving on.
I don't know. We're
How
in a
about
good
Joe?
spot
Do you have
right
any
now.
questions? Anything?
Well, my question was, going into the Navy from where you were born and raised, that's a big jump, not only geographically, but culture-wise. Did you have any brothers or sisters or parents that influenced you to do
Well, my dad was in the Air Force, but he was up in Cheyenne, Wyoming. He worked at a missile base or something like that up there. And my dad is still alive, believe it or not.
That's great.
He and I have been apart for like about 20 years, and for personal reasons. And finally, about 3 weeks ago, I found out where he was, and he's down at a nursing home in Parker, and he's doing very well. And I'm so happy that every Sunday I go down there and see him. And he's got a slight case of dementia, okay? So he's having a little bit hard time remembering some stuff, okay? However, okay, the more I spend time with him, he's starting to remember more and more things because I keep saying, hey, Dad, you know, remember this, remember that? And he said, yeah, I remember. By the way, how's Laramie? And I said, I haven't been to Laramie for a while, but I'm planning on going over there Memorial Day to pay honor to my deceased sister. Because, see, I have a sister down in Florida, and my other sister is deceased. She was only 8 months old when she died 65 years ago. And then I have 3 half-sisters. One's in Boulder, one's in Aurora, and another one down in around Tampa, Florida, or something like that. Wonderful half-sisters, okay? But my dad was a big influence because, as I said, he was in the Air Force. But he was in the Air Force during the Korean War. But he only stayed in like 4 years. And that's when I guess he found my mother over in Germany, married her, and then brought her back here to the States.
That's good influence.
Well, yes. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but my real mother died about 5 years ago. Yeah.
So you guys would get together over a beer and trade military.
Oh, back then, my dad would take me skiing all the time. He was a very avid skier, you know, very avid skier, okay? Matter of fact, you know, we used to go up to the Tetons, and that's where we would do our skiing.
It's pretty serious skiing there.
Pretty serious. I remember him taking me over cliffs that I would not go over now. I mean, we're talking 25, 30, 40-foot cliffs. You know, he said, well, just point the skis down and they'll hit the snow and then they'll take you off. And I said, well, I don't care about the skis. I'm worried about myself. What's going to happen to the rest of me?
Yeah.
You'll bounce. Okay, thanks, Dad.
So that's good that you still have your dad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
The thing is that, you know, once this interview's over, I'll show you a picture of him. But yeah, the thing is that he's 92. Matter of fact, he'll be 93 August 5th of this year.
were you his only son?
I'm his only son.
So you were tops with him.
I'm the oldest child, only son. Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's talk about reflections, okay? How did or does your military service
Mm-hmm.
affect your life? How has it affected your life?
Well, the one thing that I'm very proud about the military, okay, is that, when you go to boot camp, and then when you go out to your units, basically you're thrown together, okay? So you learn to get along with everybody, okay, in some way, shape, or form. And so it taught me that here I came from Denver, Colorado, okay, from pretty much an affluent family situation. And then maybe I got a chance and an opportunity to associate with other people from other walks of life, okay? And so you get to communicate, you get to, work with them, you get to do things with them after work hours and stuff like that. So you get a well-rounded background of people. And that's the beautiful part about the military. And you've got to get along, okay? Once you leave the military, sometimes people change. And you got to be more, maybe I'm using the wrong word, you got to be more guarded, okay? Because some people may not have the same integrity as the people that you deal with in the military, okay? If I could go back to the military right now, I'd go back in a second, okay? Just because of the caliber of the military, okay? And not saying that other people are bad, okay? But I just miss that camaraderie. I really miss that camaraderie. I mean, it's just like with my flight crew, okay? When you went out in town, you went as a flight crew. You didn't go out as one person. You went as a team, as a flight crew, okay? And you had so much fun, too, okay? Because who's going to tell, 15 people what to do?
That ain't going to happen.
like they're going to tell one person what to do.
So what about life lessons from the military?
Life lessons?
Yeah.
First of all, take care of the vets, okay? Always be veteran oriented. That's my personal opinion. I love being around veterans. I love helping veterans. And I look forward until the day I take my last breath being there for veterans. And that's what I look forward to. And that's why I'm so eager with these college courses and stuff like that to be able to assist veterans and other people.
Yeah, no, I think, again, that's a great idea.
Yes.
I think. So, these almost seem redundant, but it's like, what are the things that you miss about being in the service? It's like
The camaraderie.
the camaraderie.
The camaraderie,
I know you
you
emphasize that for
You
sure.
know,
Is there anything you're glad to have left behind?
Well, the only part of the military which left a bad taste in my mouth, okay, was the Philadelphia Recruiting Command, okay? The recruiters were wonderful people. It was just that at that time, the commanding officer and the master chief, in my personal opinion, they were just less than honorable, okay? So I'm glad that I pretty much got away from there. But if I'd probably been in another unit, I would have stayed for the rest of my life, okay?
You had a lot of quotas to fill and things, right?
Well, back then, you had to try and fill like 15, 20 quotas a month.
Right.
And being in Philadelphia, not saying Philadelphia is a bad place, or Trenton, but it was hard to find qualified people.
I would think. Yeah.
Especially when you were also trying to compete against the Air Force, the Marines, you know, and the Army, okay? The Army, because they had different standards,
Yeah.
they were more lax on the individuals that they took into their service.
Yeah, that's
My personal opinion.
no. Well, here I don't disagree. It was like, particularly when I was in. I mean, there were way more draftees than there were people enlisted,
Mhm. Absolutely.
But they from all walks of life, and pretty much anybody who could walk could get in.
Did him.
It's like, and with an IQ above 50.
Well,
So I'm kidding.
you know,
Anyway, it's like,
because I don't want to speak ill, but one of the things that the Air Force and Marines and Navy were concerned about was your criminal record.
yeah,
Okay, so if you had any type of criminal record, that pretty much X'd you out.
right.
Well, then all of a sudden, they went over to the Army and they, come on in, we'll take you.
Well,
Okay.
Well, that used to be an option that were given people who were convicted or whatever. Go to prison or go in the military,
And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, no. No. Go ahead.
Allow me to ask you a question. There isn't any more drafts.
Drafts,
A draft.
Yeah.
No.
You get drafted.
but there is selective service.
Do you think that part of our problems today in our society for young men doing things that they have been doing more so than when we grew up in our age could be solved by having a draft and showing them, hey, this is an organized life. This is how you get your life straight. This is how you follow certain commands. This is how you work as a team.
Well,
Do you think it would be a positive thing to relive?
I have to agree with you to a certain point, because the fact is that one thing that people don't realize, okay, is that the military will teach you respect, okay? You'll respect your peers and the people you deal with, and you'll respect the upper command. And other countries, okay, like Korea and South Korea and other countries, when you reach a certain age, like 21, 22, something like that, you are required to go into the military service as a man, not as a woman, and spend 2 to 3 years. And then you come out, you get benefits, and you are a changed person, because you're how do I say it? Your field of, and I need your help on this, where your comprehension level. See, a lot of people are born, raised, live, and die in the city that they're at and never have left. Okay? This gives you a chance to travel the world, see how other countries operate, so that way you know how to deal with people a lot better. Okay? It gives you just a wonderful opportunity to also to take a look at yourself. And if you see something, how can I be like that? How can I work to that level? Okay? And you just don't get that. And I would like to see some sort of, maybe not the draft, but where
Compulsory service.
compulsory service. That's that perfect terminology,
It
because,
is.
as I said, they do it in other countries. When you reach 21, as a man, okay, you got to go into the service for 3 years, and then once your 3 years are done, you leave, and that's it.
Well, that's a whole other conversation, but I do think it's important. I think, it's like not just military, but even in terms of some kind of national service or whatever, and
Well-
both for men and women, and kids. And I think it definitely broadens their horizons and gives them much, it's a great learning experience, in so many ways, in so many levels. And, I think 2 or 3 years, whatever, would be a great thing, and even in terms of providing more of a unified framework in
Right.
terms of, just who we are and what we share, and what is a broader experience in
Broader
a sense that it's not
experience, but
just
also too.
limited to, anyway, all that,
The three of us remember also too is that there was a time where, okay, you don't want to go into the military, we're going to send you to the Peace Corps.
Right,
Wonderful opportunity.
sure.
Because the fact is, okay, you might be a conscientious objector, okay, let's get you in the Peace Corps where you're doing things around the world, making the place a better place.
Agreed. That's like
Right. One or
that
the
conservation corps that they had in the 30s too,
Right.
I think was a really fine program, and did a lot of things there, learned a lot, and, it was something like that along that order, I mean, it's just a varied experience, but
Yeah.
it's like to be able to do that, and, and even in terms of educational benefits and the things that would arise out of this, and it's like, anyway, there's so many things that could go along with that. I mean, it's just in terms of, but a much more cohesive experience in terms of, I don't want to limit it to nationalism or whatever, but in terms of more, in terms of who we are and what we share, and to really come to know that better. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation, but an important one, I think, for sure.
One of the areas that, and you're a Vietnam
Mm-hmm.
veteran, that I think we can look back on how Vietnam veterans were treated
Mm-hmm.
after coming back from being in Vietnam
Yes.
under horrible conditions.
Yes.
And the way they were treated was shameful,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yes. Thank you.
Did you experience any of that?
Slightly, but the fact is that as I said, I came back and I was able to go to Colorado, and also too is that I was able to, and we were out of Brunswick, Maine, okay, so it wasn't so. I think the word would be vilified up there, and also too is that from Brunswick, Maine, then I went into the University of Oklahoma, and then from the University of Oklahoma, I went into the carrier units. So
Yeah.
I got it slightly, but not as much as basically the Army guys coming back. I mean, they got it real bad. I don't even think the Air Force got it as bad as the poor Army guys.
As I recall, going through that era,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that our government was doing is not showing the casualties coming back. But once they start showing the body bags coming
Mhm.
back, that's when the ferment of these riots happened.
Right.
Do you think that had a very negative impact on our society?
Well, and I totally agree with you, but also too is I think that what contributed to the negative impact was that young people were being forced into a situation that they didn't want to be. You and I remember when there was young people running across the border into Canada and asking for amnesty, and then also too is that the politics back then with Richard Nixon and Johnson and all the others and stuff like that created a negative atmosphere. And also too is that there was a lot of question. People were questioning the government. Are they really taking care of us? Are they really taking care of the people overseas? Are they telling us the truth? Because as you said, here it is. People didn't know what was going on until you see all these body bags coming back. So.
So is the government's lack of education, being aware of what our social situation was, to be truthful, to say here's what's happening, you think that people would have been more behind that effort?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, sir. The thing is that all the government, the thing is that they've always revolved around secrecy, okay, for whatever reason, okay? And if the government would just be truthful and say, this is really what's going on, okay? Some are going to like it, some of them aren't, but this is what's going on, and this is why it's going on, okay? And this is why we have to do this, to accomplish a mission. Then people would have been more receptive. But when you have a government that keeps secrets, okay, and doesn't let the population or the people they're governing know what's going on, and you're seeing it now, people are questioning what the heck's going on, and they're not getting the appropriate answers.
Well, hopefully we'll think about what happened there in Vietnam and how the veterans were treated. Hopefully never have to go through that again.
I hope not either, okay? Because the fact is that we'll always be involved in some kind of skirmish, okay? Because that's part of our peacekeeping mission, okay? And, but you're absolutely right, sir. Hopefully it won't reach to the point of the Vietnam situation. People are now wondering about, Ukraine. Are we going to be there for 20 years? And a bunch of other things that are going on.
Yeah, this is a very, very tumultuous period, whether it be in the Middle East or in Ukraine and just China and North Korea. And, it's like, and what is the possibility for utter nuclear devastation and such, it's like, it's never been quite as critical as it is right now, I think the last 50, 55 years or so, I think that period you're talking about from around 68 to 74 was a really pivotal period in history for us, And I think what we're seeing, not that it hadn't been there, but from that period to this period now that we're in, that 50 years, and a repetition of that whole circle back and here, and those problems then that we were having, and where we are now. And it's just, it's an incredibly critical time, I think, in so many ways here for us as a whole, That's, anyway, to go on.
Well, I have to agree
to go
with
on
you
with this interview.
because the fact is, all of you know that a ship is only as good as its captain. Okay, you have to have a strong leader. If you have a weak leader, it flows downhill. Okay,
that's all.
Let me, for my part, and here as part of my questions. But if you're looking to stay within an environment and a volunteer, Soldiers Angels would more than welcome you to join our effort.
Well, if you give me the information, I will contact them. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, so let's come up here. We're right at the conclusion now in terms of the last question. So
I didn't want to conclude.
yeah. Conclude that we can. Anyway, it's like, what do you wish more people knew about veterans and or military service?
Just how much they contribute to the fabric of America. Okay. Because of the fact is that most people don't realize that only 1% of the population has been in the military. Only 1%. Okay. But the freedoms that we enjoy, okay, were brought on by veterans. So, hopefully the other 99% in some way, shape, or form appreciate veterans and what they do and what they stood for and still what they stand for. And this is something that I'm trying to work in veterans organizations about, because once a veteran comes back from wherever he's been, okay, it's very easy to slip into a situation where they become reclusive. Here it is that they were out, they were, protecting America, protecting our freedoms and stuff. And then all of a sudden, when they come back, they're forgotten. And also, too, is that sometimes when you come back, it's very hard for a veteran to get a job. Okay? Because of the fact is that here it is that they were driving tanks.
Wow.
Okay? And they were protecting our freedom. Well, where's the tank driver here in the United States? Different things like that.
A lot of different factors for sure.
A lot of different.
Including disillusionment, disenchantment, and PTSD, and all the traumas and things that,
stuff like that.
all of that can have, for absolutely sure.
Thank you, Dave.
So what would you like people to remember about your journey?
I had fun.
Bud, you had fun.
Guess what? I'm still having fun, and I look forward to more fun. Hopefully, if I find a girlfriend.
Well, I wish you well with that.
Well,
okay?
thank you
It's
very
like
much. You know.
Be careful though what you wish for, right?
Well, you know, I'm pretty particular.
All right. So is there any message that you'd like to leave for future generations who will view this interview?
If you get a chance and you have an opportunity, join the military. And you know, I'm sure that you may not want to stay for a full retirement, but go in for 2, 3, 4 years. Okay, get a well-rounded background, and then step out, and you'll see that you're going to be a better person for it. Okay, you're going to be a better person, and it also too, it'll open your eyes to opportunities that maybe you didn't see before. Okay,
There's all that for sure.
absolutely.
So is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered?
I had fun with you guys.
Yeah.
This has been a
good.
blast.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
tell you something. Second time around is always fun. Maybe we might go for a third time if people can handle me.
But the only thing missing here is having an IPA at the same time.
An IPA? Is that in Pale Ale or something like that?
A cold one.
Yeah, you know, that probably would be better if we were to do these interviews and sitting at a bar or whatever.
Hey, let me tell you something. Once you've had a glass or two,
Then we really talk, okay?
we would be having a blast. Let me tell you something.
Get down to the down and dirty there. It's
Well,
like,
this is how well I remember, and this is why I have such fond memories of the Azores, okay? Because I did a lot of crazy stuff over there. I remember at George the Crook's, I had my bottle of wine for $1,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden George says, "Hey, you want to go have some fun?" And so he had a cab or something like that, and he's driving out in the fields and stuff, and we're looking for this house, where there was some entertainment.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think we ever found the house, but we sure had fun driving all over that little island looking for it.
All right. I think that we got it. We put it in the can here, all right?
All right.
Bud, thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
And interesting for sure.
Well,
And fun.
it has been. And,
All right, sir.
Okay.
I think we got her.
Well,
You don't want this on camera? Just want to make sure.
what's that?
What are you going to show? Do you want that to also be part of the?
Well, the fact is that I wanted to show you something. That's my 9-year-old
Oh,
granddaughter.
she,
Okay.
a lovely kid.
Yeah.
She does.
And ain't that. There's my 90.
Yep.
Well, I accidentally hit the video. I didn't mean to hit the video part. Come on, show the picture. There's my 92-year-old father.
Oh,
Yeah? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like a cheerful soul.
Oh, he is. He's wonderful. He's got a great sense of humor. As I said, he was saying, "Well, how's your mom doing?" And I said, "Dad, Mom died 5 years ago." Okay. Oh, okay. Well, and then, well, how's Laramie doing? I said, "Well, Laramie's still there, and I'm going to go see it,
Right.
Memorial Day." Oh, okay. So, his memory's getting a little
Sure.
better.
Sure.
But, I love him to death. I'm glad that he and I got back together.
Yeah,
and,
that's a good thing for sure.
and as I said, the first time I saw him was on Easter Sunday, and I'm seeing him every Sunday until,
Sure.
wherever life takes us.
When your grandchildren see this video,
Uh-huh.
they're going to look around, they're going to see their grandchildren and their cousins say, "Well, you act like him, just like him.
Quit it. Don't act like him.
You look just like him." That's what happens, right, for grandchildren. So, where's this guy get his looks? Right there. So,
Well, hopefully, they say, well, you don't want to look like him. You want to look like your mother, but you know, we're still debating on acting like him too. Because sometimes I get crazy,
Yeah. I can well imagine.
you know, especially, you know, some of these people when I go in and do business with them and stuff like that, you know, they'll ask me a question. Well, they forget that I'm a talker. So I'll sit there and talk for like 10, 15 minutes and they say, well, we just wanted a yes or no answer. Well, you got me started.
We do one more.
All right,
One more.
One more handshake.
Bud.
It has been awesome. Let me tell you something.
Be well, sir. Okay.
So we'll come back in 4 months for round 3. Can we have some different questions this time?
I'll bring the beer.
Okay.
Yeah. Next time we'll have
And the
to.
girlfriend. I'll have her sitting over here.
All right. Thank you.
This is a burning question.
All right.
We have too much fun here, you know that? We could turn this into an all-day thing.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Okay, so let me flash the card.
Now we get a copy of this?
Always. Yeah.
Okay. Just
You'll
want to
get
make
it within
sure.
a few weeks. And if
Huh?
you don't, just give me a call. You'll get it in a few weeks.
Yeah, but my calls always go to your voicemail, and then you say, "Oh, I thought you were spam."
You sounded like an AI, so.
Yeah, okay. Let me know how that is.
Are you
Now
rolling
you
with
just
what-
really got on my bad side. Do I sound like spam?
So my question would be directed to
No, yes.
Mr. Bud Roberts.
Mr. Bud Roberts.
And
Yeah.
speak up if you can, because you don't
Okay.
have a mic.